All right, welcome to Swerv Radio. This is our second edition where we bring the pages of Swerv magazine to life. Today we have the legendary Racine Pendarvis is joining us. You know, Racine joins us when Racine wants to join us. And
every second and fourth. Every second and fourth month.
Right. And last week we had Tony Nelson and Yardé Noir, and L Train is sitting in for our friend Yardé Noir, who is in Italy.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Welcome. Well, we have a great show for you. So today, we got a packed show. We got a great musical feature. Carolyn Malachi, who's one of my favorite artists. We'll see that later. And we've got a great author, Amari Ice, is here with his new book, Lasting Love at Last. He's on a worldwide tour, and he's helping us all kind of get in relationships. And I know I'm single. Are y'all single?
I'm a widow from the South Side. I'm a widow.
That's right. You got a group story. I forgot.
I'm a widow from the South Side.
It's called Dream Girls. Okay, Barry Gordy. All right. And L Train, are you single?
No, I'm not.
Oh.
But it's always nice to hear, some good love advice.
All right,
always.
Because he's got to hook me up. Anyway, well, let's get to some news items for sure. Are we sharing this live? Is it going?
I hope people are following us on Facebook
Okay,
Live. I know we're sharing. Go and tell them to go to where?
Go to either listenvisionlive.com, and you can see the whole show in its entirety. And of course, we posted at YouTube on our YouTube channel for Swerv Magazine as
and
well.
And all of our personal
And you can see that, and all of our personal pages.
So
right,
follow
right.
Racine Pendarvis, Rayceen, the queen of the shameless plug.
And I do mean shameless. Mm-hmm.
Shameless. I'm going to plug everything. And I can't help but not look at myself in this.
Don't look at yourself. Okay.
I'm trying that too.
And we gotta keep moving. L Train, where should they follow you on social media?
You can actually just follow me on L Train on Facebook. So it's
and L Train.
Yep.
E-L
Train.
E-L Train. Okay. All right. Well, let's get started. So we got some news items. Let's start with number one, Jacob. I don't know if you got those images for us. Some interesting things happened over throughout the country. The nation's first black transgender elected official, openly transgender, was elected back in January in the city council for Minneapolis, Andrea Jenkins. And she's quite an extraordinary individual. And I don't know if you know anything about her. She's a poet. She's a historian. She's very much a strong advocate. I met her years ago at Creating Change, and she's very tall. And so she walks into the room and she fills up the room. And so she's been working in Minneapolis for a while, doing some economic development there. And so hats off to Andrea. I know she has a transgender historian oral project in Minneapolis, and we're going to feature that sometime in Swerve Magazine.
I think we should. Definitely. She's an incredible force, an amazing spirit, an amazing light to the community.
Hats off to you, Andrea. Congratulations and good luck, and we'll be in contact. And then one other item. I don't know if any of you heard about this at the NFL Combine. Now I'm a sports fan, so I watch the Combine. The Combine is it's eye candy on steroids, first of all.
I can imagine. I just want to sit on the sideline and shake my pom-pom.
Especially the running backs and the linebackers. So the NFL channel is like my favorite channel during that time. But there was an incident with a former LSU running back, Darius Guice, I think that's his name, where all of the teams that are interested in the player can ask any question they want. And they asked him whether or not he was gay.
Okay, yeah.
And he shared that they asked him that, and that's not appropriate. Then they also inquired as to whether his mother was a prostitute or not.
Wow.
Are those appropriate?
Wow. No, they're not appropriate. They're deplorable and they're despicable.
They are, and I definitely agree with that. What I would love for people to understand, though, is this is a job. This is a job, and unfortunately, sexual orientation is not a federally protected class when it comes to a job. And I'm not saying it's right by any means. I think that it was absolutely despicable, just as you said. But I think that that's one of the things that people should realize when they hear people who are saying we want equal rights, this is one of those times. This is a job, and basically this is a job interview. And during this time, this is when they felt comfortable to say this. I felt that it was totally inappropriate. However, nothing will probably be done.
Right, but it's not legal. That's the issue, and there were not official interviews. And the other spin to that is our good friend Akil Patterson, who was he guest edited our sports issue. He then shared his own story where he participated in the combine, and they had similar questions, and he wrote about that.
But I think sometimes people think because you are a public figure that there are certain things that you are obligated to divulge, and there are certain things as those who are interviewing feel that they have that right to ask you, and it's a level of dignity and a level of pride, and it speaks to the volume of who's interviewing you. When they, and I always say when people, in the immortal words of Michelle Obama, when they go low, you go high.
Well, apparently the gentleman, he was really not bothered by it. First of all, he's a great athlete. He's gone in the first round. Every team wants him. I don't care what's going on. They want to win, so somebody's going to pick him up. And I don't think that this was because of any behavior. It was just something they tend to ask people, trying to take them off their game to see how they respond to adverse questions. So anyway, good luck to Darius. We're going to be watching him. I hope he ends up with the Philadelphia Eagles because that's my team. So anyway, one other item is the infamous Stormy Daniels here. I mean, this girl is, first of all, this girl's fierce. First of all.
Well, you got it. Well.
Can we snap for Stormy? Because Stormy has said, that
I'm waiting on the video to come out.
Oh,
I'm waiting on the video because if she's smart, I have the mind of a hooker. I just don't have the heart of a hooker.
First of all, she's the first one. She's the only one that has admitted that she's had sexual activity with him, right?
For a coin,
right,
for a lot,
right.
for a lot of money. Because if you're gonna lay with that, you should get paid.
But check this out. She said,
very well.
She said, that little $130,000 you gave me?
I'm gonna give it back.
You can have that back. I got other things lined up.
But she knows that if she gave that money back, she would get way more than that. If she was able to actually do interviews, she can't do anything besides
But
batter
that's all right.
eyes
She's
right now.
waiting. She's
waiting. Already been booked
She's
for
in the
that.
wings waiting.
But
Trust me.
how long is this?
And the
in
video
place?
is coming because if
What do you
she's a
mean?
smart hooker.
So sometimes when you do agreements like this, though, sometimes have you wait like 20 years.
But he
10
didn't
years. How long?
sign it.
Yeah, they didn't
and
sign
so
it.
there's a point of contention as to whether or not it's even valid. But she said, "Oh no, here, take the little money. Wait till I get my movie, book, interviews, the works."
Everything.
So once
I'm
we
gonna make
find
that
out,
tenfold.
Once we find out, what do you think? What do you think you would hear from this that would be exciting? Because just the idea of sex with him.
It's not what I want to hear.
Right.
It's the video I want to see.
I don't want.
I want to see the video because then everything hits the fan. When it's the proof of see, I can say I slept with you and got paid, but there's nothing like saying, "Here, catch the video."
Right.
Okay.
You
And
she's
then
got
the
the
fact
video.
that
So you want
she's
it
got
for
a
proof.
video of 45 doing some ungodly, unnatural thing.
Well, the read is though, the evangelical community that he has a stronghold on. I mean, this raises that issue to the nth degree. Like, hello, dude, you were married with all these kids. First of all, we on wife number
broke
3,
all kind of vows.
and you didn't had affairs with all your other wives, with the new wives. I mean, let's get real. But anyway,
It's been consistent. He's been very consistent, if nothing else.
oh, well, he came.
but he's scared of this one.
he came in the door showing who he was.
Right.
People knew who he was.
But the Russians are one thing. Oh, am I still sharing? I think I'm not sharing anymore. Let's
Well, don't
see.
worry about it. You'll figure it out. I hope so. We'll figure. Now it'll show. Don't.
It's still sharing. Okay.
Follow us on Facebook.
The
Live.
Russians are one thing, but this could be the end of the Trump presidency.
Well,
Stormy
he won't be the
Daniels.
first or the last. Somebody in politics is laid up with a prostitute.
I would love to believe that, but I don't think so. He's done so much. I think all it'll do is just solidify everybody's thoughts.
No, but here's how it's gonna flip things. If the video shows another man, him dressed up in women's clothing with pantyhose, his whole group is gonna go to the left. They're gonna go to the right now because they're gonna attack him because he's not. It's a difference if he's just having sex with a woman, but if he's having kinky sex and S&M sex and all this other kind of stuff that those church folks and those folks in Idaho and see it, they're gonna lose their mind.
Once they see it, that's one thing.
They're gonna lose their mind.
Do we really want him to file a claim against his insurance AKA Michael Pence. Like, if he
Well,
goes,
we'll deal with him, and we got plans. They got plans for him. He's got his own skeleton. But anyway,
years of him.
We're gonna have to move on. But we'll keep you posted on Stormy.
Like what the woman who left the White House in a cloud just said on that show she was on, Big Brothers. You don't want Pence.
Omarosa.
Yes, she said on the Big Brother. Pence is even worse.
Well, she's got her own issues, but she's an HU grad, so I wanna give her a little love. But that's all she gets.
I'm gonna lay some holy water on her forehead.
All I got to say is Stormy is fierce, and I can't wait to see what she's got planned. Cause
Category 5.
Because she's got it on lock, baby.
She
She's
might be.
an
Well,
industrial woman.
all forms of any kind of empire has always been brought down by some kind of sexual
That's right.
deviant, it's always been
A scandal
involving sexuality that has brought down Samson and Delilah, all of it. It's all about sex. It's brought it down. The
Bobby
power
and
of the
Whitney.
punani is something about it. It's powerful. I'm buying mine on Tuesday. It's on layaway.
They've indicated that her bookings have gone through the roof. So it's been nothing but good for business for that girl. So amen to her. So Stormy, we'll keep our eyes out open for you. But anyway, so let's move on to our section. We call it. We've been calling it a couple things. I call it what's hot. So what's hot? One thing in particular, Jussie Smollett from Empire put out a new project. I haven't heard it yet. It went out last week.
It's
really?
wonderful. But I mean, that boy is a triple threat.
Yeah, he's talented. He's a talented guy.
He's talented. He looks good. He sounds good. He's amazing. I love him, and I think I just think he's everything.
But I haven't seen much promotion. Have you heard anything about it?
I have.
Okay.
So
thumbs up or thumbs down, L Train?
I would like to see Jussie in a group because I feel like his talents would be better suited in the background.
He's not a solo artist.
I feel like he is like the Foxy Brown of R&B. He can do some bridges
the Foxy
here.
Brown of R&B.
She's not an R&B artist. She's a hip hop artist.
Right. He's the Foxy Brown of R&B.
Oh.
He can do some bridges. He can do some features, and we love it. But I'm not seeing it for a full album because his voice is too unique, and it will start.
He sounds like Usher to me.
It'll
though.
start grating
I
a little
think-
bit
well,
after a while for me.
I beg to differ.
I mean, he's nice to look at, and he has great stage presence.
Let me tell you, he
everything
knows
you
what's
need for a
working him.
group.
He
He
knows
does.
what's
He
working
does.
for
knows
him.
it's working.
Let's face it. Even if you like him or you don't like him, he's hot. He's on fire
Absolutely.
now. Strike and make it work. I can see him doing Broadway soon. Make it work.
Well, he's done a lot of things. Empire has been a great launch pad for him. I actually met him a while ago. He had produced a short film on a little kid who was being bullied because he was effeminate. It was really cute. And it was back, I think, Maurice Jamal used to host this Black LGBT
Everybody
film
who's
festival.
come
So
across
he's been
what I
great.
love about him, he has such a gracious spirit. Everyone
does.
I know who has worked with him or come across him, he has a gracious spirit which will carry him in this business a long way.
Well, I look forward to doing something with Swerve with him. So we're going to reach out and do something special. But I know the new season's coming up for Empire. So I would assume they're going to promote the project because I didn't really hear any of the promotion. I just happened across the press release. So I'm like, if you're going to put out
they'll work it. They'll have his commercials all on.
You would assume,
Empire.
right.
Watch. Trust me, it's gonna blow.
All
Watch.
of his videos.
As soon as it comes on, his people have already said we want prime airtime doing the Empire Hour. So trust me,
It'll be out.
It'll go off.
And
it'll
we'll
go
do
off the
something
rails.
with it too. We'll do something to it. So let's move on. So Oprah's new film with Ava DuVernay, A Wrinkle in Time.
I love it.
Have you seen it?
Twice.
I saw it
I
once.
saw it twice.
Have you
I
seen
told
it?
you you
Yes,
needed to
I
go
did.
see it. The
I saw it.
cinematography, the costumes.
Exactly.
It was
It's beautiful.
everything. I thought what I loved about it, the interracial cast. I loved it because it shows the world that is going to be, the future. It is. We are all such a mixed group of people. I love it. It empowers young girls and the little boy.
The little boy was amazing.
Wasn't he amazing?
He stole that movie.
I want to adopt him.
I want to.
He was amazing.
And first of all,
And when
He's an
I don't want to
amazing
spoil it, but when his personality switched, he took it to another level.
oh, he was
Yeah.
amazing. But kudos to Washington's own Derek Rutledge.
Amen. Derek Rutledge, the master.
The makeup.
He beat
Derek Rutledge, you
those-
peed.
Did he do
The
everybody,
hair
or did he
people
just do
peed.
Oprah? Did he do everybody, or just
Well,
Oprah?
probably his team and his staff, and it's an incredible group of
He should get an Oscar for
oversaw
that.
it.
He oversaw it.
He
He's the head
should
makeup
get an
artist.
Oscar for that.
Oh, it's over.
We're putting that out there.
Visually
Derek, we're gonna do.
stunning.
And
We
the
got to do
hair,
something
everything.
special.
And Oprah, big, small, tiny,
Oh,
everything. Such a powerful
We're telling
voice.
too much of the movie.
But go see it.
You
Go
gotta,
see it.
you gotta
It
go
really
see
is.
A Wrinkle in Time,
It's
and
amazing.
take your kids
And
to
read
see
the book.
it.
And read
I've
the
never read the
series.
book.
Read the series. It's a wonderful series.
So
And
will there be a sequel to this?
I think it's going to be.
Really?
Oh, wow.
It's number 2 at the box office, behind Black Panther.
Of course, everything's number 2 behind
Bam!
Black Panther.
Bam!
Amen.
Get you some.
Not mad at that.
I need to
Not
go
mad
see
at
it.
that at
I need to
all.
go see it in 4D. But anyway, so we'll move on. How about Queer Eye featuring Karamo Brown? Do you have that graphic, Jacob, by any chance? Oh, there it is, right there.
Yeah, I saw.
There's
I saw
the
episode,
beautiful.
the
I haven't
premiere
seen it
episode.
yet.
I saw
haven't seen it.
And I love Mr. Brown. I think he's a wonderful.
Well, first of all, he's the prettiest one on the thing. I mean, he's almost too pretty for the cast.
He is
I
a
think.
beautiful man.
Well, he stands
Karamo.
out. You know, chocolate is always going to stand out. So,
is
you know,
a
he stands
beautiful
out.
man.
I love him. And he's a wonderful personality. He's like the life coach of the group.
Oh, so he's not the beauty coach. He's the life
He's
coach.
like the life coach.
Yeah.
And I
Oh.
love it. I love the little reboot. At first I said, oh, they're going to reboot the Queer Eye without me. But you know.
Well, you know, our dear friend Samson, the comedian McCormick, was on the, I guess, one of the short lists for the black spot in
Oh, wow.
that.
Really?
And I think he thought he was going to get it because he posted something about that.
Wow,
and
I wish
then
he
lo
would.
and behold,
Well,
there was Karamo. So
damn.
that
you
means
know,
it wasn't meant for you,
it
Samson.
wasn't, but something greater is coming.
Absolutely,
Something's
absolutely.
greater coming.
I also love how with the show they decided this time around to call it Queer Eye as opposed to Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. Which is
Oh,
what
it's
it
not
was
called
before.
Queer Eye for the Straight Guy?
No, it's just
Okay.
Queer Eye.
Oh.
So
Because they're working with everyone.
Exactly.
They're working
There's
with
other-
everyone.
right,
Notice
there's
my black
other-
queer shirt.
They actually work with some gay men.
Oh.
Right. So when I watched the show, I was pretty impressed.
And it's on Netflix, right?
It's on Netflix.
I loved it. I
You
thought
can
it
binge
was-
over the
I
weekend.
love Netflix.
And enjoy it. Yeah.
Contrary to some other people right now.
I'm cool with Netflix, you know.
I
but-
love Netflix.
No shade, Monique. No shade, Monique.
No shade, but it serves a purpose.
It does.
And I do believe, and let me say this publicly, I do. Part of me stands with Monique. I understand where she comes from, and part of me does stand with her. But I feel like collectively we need to sit down at the table, collectively, artists, and really decide what we can do in solidarity. I think sometimes when we speak too soon, people tend to attack the messenger.
Mm-hmm.
And had it been sit down collectively with wonderful, incredible women such as Monique, Viola Davis, Whoopi Goldberg, Meryl Streep, all of women in the industry to talk about the horrible, deplorable pay differences.
Discrepancies, right.
Yeah, and if people would collectively, I feel like if women across the board would have come and sat down and talked about it collectively, her voice wouldn't have been like so alone.
Yeah, well, you know, Monique is a polarizing figure, but I'll give you an example of something similar that happened in the advertising business. A well-known national retailer, department store, I'll let you figure it out, was approached by Reverend Al Sharpton, Kathy Hughes, a number of people, publications, TV, radio, and they were threatening a big major boycott because a significant amount of their audience was African American, and they were spending like nothing advertising to our community. And so they threatened them, and they responded affirmatively.
They should have.
So it takes a collective group to raise
Awareness.
the issue appropriately.
You know, we hold the power collectively, but I understand it takes a
And
person
by the way,
and
I
a
didn't.
vision.
Swerve didn't get in on that, but we'll talk about that.
But I think you're right, and I think a collective voice is nice. And sometimes when you go just kind of half-cocked by yourself, you start spinning your wheels, and you kind of get into a position of being defensive and having to be defensive because you are being attacked, and you don't always have everything you need to say to carry the message on to a further place. Because at this point, you're now on the defense, and you're not even talking about your actual message. You're talking about the awards that you've won because you're the most decorated, and all these other things that really have nothing to do with the final argument at all, which is unfortunate because I agree. I think that I definitely agree with her message. I think that the delivery was not necessarily the best. And I would also like to say, I think that now it's the time for her to try to get in on that Jay-Z and Beyonce tour, so she can finally get into some.
I don't. If I go see Jay-Z and Beyonce,
I'm just
I want
saying,
to see Jay-Z and Beyonce.
If she can
not,
open, if she can, if she can open for them, it would be nice for her to be able to
come out and say
to do a tour of some stadiums. Before her career is.
If I go to see them, all I want her to do is come out and say, "Bring into the stage."
At least she can go. At least she can go back to Netflix and say, "I was on a tour that sold out." A successful tour, because at this point she's not being able.
Well, she's going to be here. She's going to be in the D.C. area doing. It's a stage play. What is it called?
It's an incredible stage.
And they do stage plays here in the D.C. area at the Warner Theater.
Isn't it like the barbershop one or something?
It's one of those.
Yeah, I do believe it's coming. It's coming, and people
I was
will
like,
see
"Ooh,
it.
you've taken a step down, Oscar winner, when we're doing stage plays." But anyway,
There's nothing wrong with it. Art is art.
A check is a
All kind of
check,
ways.
right?
Pay the
I
mortgage.
don't knock anybody's hustle.
Well, we got a couple more minutes before
And
we.
speaking of solidarity,
What?
today was very powerful. Today, the walkout across the country.
Oh my goodness! Yes, I'm glad you brought that up.
Amazing walkout. I went to
By the high school students
It was
around gun
amazing.
violence. That was amazing. I'm just curious to see if that translates into the millennials registering and voting, because that's where the rubber meets the road.
Yeah,
It is.
It spoke volume. It spoke volume in a way that people who feel as if they have everything in the bag should be very nervous, because young people, and especially women, are going to change the election.
It's definitely got the possibility. Now, there's going to be some, not voter fraud, but what do you call it?
Voter fraud.
No, not voter fraud. When
Shade.
No, what is it about the voter disenfranchisement or
Right,
whatever they call it? There are going to be some tricks and games
Oh, yeah, they're going to do
around
all kind of things. They're going
and
to register dead
purging.
people.
And the Russians have already told us they're going to cheat and pull files.
They're
But
going
anyway,
to do shows, but people are going to get out. People are now, it's unbelievable. And people thought it was a joke. And because they thought it was a joke, they sat back and said, "Oh, this is not going to happen." But now people's lives are being affected, and a large, people are feeling it. And now people are like, wait a minute.
oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I can't tell who's in the White House. But anyway, we're not going to go into that. We've got a great musical spotlight coming up. A dear friend of ours, and we featured her a while ago, Carolyn Malachi. She's a wonderful artist from the D.C.
love
area,
her.
but she's international. She travels a lot. My nephew works with her. Shout out to Jermaine Fletcher, who does some of her videos. But
She's Grammy nominated.
She's a jazz hip hop artist, and she's won a Grammy. She won a
Yes.
writing Grammy.
Yes,
Anyway,
she did.
so let's go to that video, Jacob. We got the wonderful Carolyn Malachi.
We summer cool, we swimming pool, we popsicle toes. We classical, we jazz and blues, we trap and we go. We dancing shoes, we in the groove, we put on a show, yeah. We step light, then we take flight. Oh, fly, baby, fly, baby. Let's go get right, baby. I could spend all night with you. Oh, baby, wow, baby. Let's start right now, baby. I could spend my life with you. Pardon me, honestly, take my breath away. We go back, we boom back, we love it, scream, yeah. We white cats,
All right, that was Carolyn Malachi. All right, give Carolyn a hand.
I love her.
She's one of the most talented artists out there. She's got a great podcast series out called Carrying Grits, where she brings together artists from the Caribbean and throughout the diaspora together, and they do collaborations, jazz, reggae, African tribal music, the works. And you can find that on YouTube. But hats off to Carolyn. We featured her in our Beautiful People issue back in, I think that was November, December. So we'll do more with her. So if you go to Carolyn's page, go see her. All right?
Go see her every chance you get. I love Carolyn.
So we've got our guest with us, Amari Ice, the author of Lasting Love at Last. Can you see the book? Everyone, get the book. Go to your page. What's your page? What's your website?
LastingLoveAtLast.com. Easy to remember.
LastingLoveAtLast.com. So welcome, Amari. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Now I don't know those Swerve readers out in the audience. We did do a nice feature. Well, you wrote it, actually. Amari wrote a nice piece in our 10th year anniversary issue in January and February. So tell us about the book, and then tell us who you are and what you do.
Sure. So I wrote this book because Black gay men, we don't have a lot of mentors. We don't have a lot of experts on relationships or family members that we can go to really get advice on how to do relationships for us, right? Like, there's no center of information for us to really build community through those one-on-one relationships in an organized way like straight people have. So this book is a guide that helps gay men to learn how to prepare for relationships, to navigate the dating process, to reach the commitment phase, and then keep a relationship going once you get into one. So that's what this book is. I outline my relationship process, and it takes you through every step to get from where you are to that relationship.
Oh,
So
okay.
have you
got
read
any
it?
questions? You got
I
any
think you
questions,
should read it.
Racine, L Train? Y'all
Let's
got any
read it right
questions of
now.
Amari?
Let's read the piece.
I just want to know, is it a guarantee? I mean, if by the time I get to the end, am I
You're gonna be
expected to
married.
walk down the aisle?
So here's the thing. Whether it's a relationship, weight loss, a career, a money goal, there's only 3 things that can keep you from having what you want.
Oh, and what are those 3 things?
You have to have a plan. If you don't have a plan, no roadmap, you don't know if you're going in the right direction. So in this book, you have a plan.
Okay.
The second is accountability. It doesn't matter if you have a plan if you're not going to implement it. Like, in order for it to work.
Every day, like, is it work every day? Like give us some tips. What like what? What are some of the major steps?
Sure. So the first thing you need to do in order to get into a relationship is review your needs and desires. If you don't know what you want, if you don't know what you need, you don't know if he's standing right in front of you. So that's the first thing you need to do.
Okay.
The second, you can't want something and believe it's not possible. You can't want to be in a relationship with the man of your dreams and expect to be able to trust him if you already believe he's going to cheat on you before you even meet him. So you got to elevate those mental and emotional frequencies.
Speak it into
Well,
existence.
cheating is relative, and we're going to talk about that
It
later.
is relative.
But that's a whole
Yeah,
other
absolutely.
Story. That's a whole other story.
So-
Especially in our community.
And
Cheating
now-
what? Cheating on what?
Very good.
So we'll talk about
What's
that.
your agreement?
Right,
yeah,
right.
absolutely.
I'm leaving that alone.
Yeah. And then, like, another big thing is a lot of times we say what we want, we believe it's possible, but we're not doing the work. So you ask, is it an everyday thing? In order for your life to work, you got to do the work.
Okay.
You got to do the work. If you don't, for example, like dating, one of my biggest rules is take pleasure in the auditions. Dating is supposed to be fun.
People don't date anymore. I mean, we all got dating horror
And if you
stories,
don't
we?
like to date, you are probably not going to like to be in a relationship, because a relationship is just a series of dates that include sex and meeting each other's families.
For some.
But for our community,
For
what's the first date? Let's describe what the first date turns out to be. Let's just be real.
It depends on
L
where you
Train,
meet.
do you want to talk about what the first date usually
Are
is?
you speaking from past
It depends on
experience?
where you
Just
meet,
from
though.
anecdotal. Like, what's the first date?
It depends on where you meet. It does. I mean, if you meet on Grindr, the first date's probably going to be about 11 o'clock at night at somebody's house. You know,
Is that a date?
And I'm just saying, the first
That's
meeting or
called
whatever.
a hookup.
Well,
A booty call.
it's all part
A
of the
jump off.
It is all part of the interview process, and some people have really created quite a bit from that situation. Now, if you meet at the club or you meet at the library, then the first date might actually be dinner or Starbucks or someplace like that. You never know. So it depends on how you meet. I think.
I'm a lead. Well,
It depends on how you meet, but it really depends on your goal. It doesn't matter if you meet somebody in person, online, or at a club. If you know what you want, you have the ability to create the experience that's going to get you there. So if you settle for a situation that doesn't fit the relationship that you want, that's you deciding to create something different. That's not the other person or the situation. It's not Jack. It's not Grindr. It's nobody's fault.
Gotcha.
You create the life you want to live.
Well,
So what you're So what you're saying is, when people who are broken have not done the work to heal, and they begin to look for pieces in other people to fix the pieces in them, you're trying to fill a puzzle.
Yeah,
that's a
and the
word.
problem starts with believing that we're broken in the first place. So I don't believe that people are broken. Like, you might have parts of you that are fragmented or, disconnected in terms of not being integrated internally, but that's different than believing that pieces of you are missing. That's the problem. If you think that you have to go and find your other half, if you think you have to go and find someone who can complete you, if you're looking for the person who's going to save your life, go look in the mirror. That's the only person that can do it.
Well, but Amari, what you describe, I know I do this, and I know others do. So when we meet somebody, while we're talking with them, I guess when you're interviewing them, and you're thinking in your mind, does this work? Am I interested in this person? Could I see myself in 2 years, 5 years? Could I see myself living with this person? And should we not? I mean, that's not something you want to do. Shouldn't you just be in the moment and engage that person without any particular expectations?
So it's a combination. On the one hand, that clarity of knowing what you want is going to help you ask the right questions in the moment. So of course your goal is to be in a relationship, and you do want to ask questions like, what are your goals? Do you want kids or not?
Like at dinner for the first.
So here's the thing. What I do with clients, I show them how to know.
Clients?
We'll talk about that too.
I'm a matchmaker in a relationship.
Oh, okay. I thought you worked with Stormy Daniels for a minute. I was confused.
Not Stormy.
I thought you were.
The book is about to go on.
Exactly.
The book is about to go. 'cause
Not
I'm
those
about
kind of clients. Not those kind of clients.
to- You got 3 new clients, but we'll talk about the 3 new clients.
So, as both a matchmaker and a relationship coach, I can either show you how or I can show you him. In this book, I show you how.
Okay.
Okay. And in terms of that dating situation where, we end up going nowhere with somebody for 6 months. Like, we were seeing where this goes for 2 years. I show clients how to know whether or not the person in front of them is an excellent lover within 2 dates.
Really?
2 dates.
So Maury, it sounds like you've got a database full of our options. Just post it to us and let's go down and pick them out.
Okay, well, this is where I want to interject.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe that people who are looking for relationships, we all like it. We all would like to have relationships. We all would like to have lasting relationships, and we all believe in love, whatever that may look like for some people. But I also believe if you have not done the work on self and have really done the work on yourself, if you are going into relationships, putting everything in that person that is lacking in you, there's a problem.
Absolutely.
Well, a lot of people they're searching for things that they don't possess themselves. But I mean, our community seems to be guilty of that.
One.
So,
Better body, money, the whole nine.
This is what normally happens, though. Like, those physical traits, those material traits, the money, the body, the looks. Often what I see is that the younger you are, the more you think those things are important. Because what we do is use those physical characteristics as surrogates for the invisible traits that we actually need, right? So what I need is somebody who is communicative. What I need is somebody who's affectionate. What I need is somebody, like, you might need someone who's protective. Like, that might be something that's important to you.
And that manifests itself in...
And you think just because you're taller
Big,
means you're going to be able to protect me.
linebacker.
Just
Gotcha,
because you're
gotcha.
taller means you have confidence. But we know how that goes. You can have the perfect package and it still doesn't last. And that's because you were looking for the package and not for the present. The present is on the inside. So, of course, you have to be with someone you're actually attracted to. you do need to be physically attracted. But that isn't what's going to keep you interested or satisfied long time.
It's going to help,
doesn't
isn't
that-
it? Isn't that going to help? I
But
mean, I don't
doesn't
want to
that
jump
help?
your bones.
But
I
for
mean,
all of us,
but
we're
being-
all going to get older.
It's not long lasting.
Right. It's
Physically
not long-lasting.
attractive is defined by different terminology.
That's right. That's
and
right.
it means
Absolutely.
different things. To me, you can be 350 pounds and physically striking to me and beautiful and handsome and everything I look for in a mate.
I agree.
So
I agree.
it is. I think it's all about presence and what you exude that makes that person see something in you to say you are the one.
I agree. I agree.
I just want to back up just real quick
Yeah.
though, because you stated 2 days. Within 2 days, you can
2 dates.
No, 2 dates.
Yep.
Count me
Normally
in.
the first
I'm
date
in.
And you can know whether or not that person is the one.
is an excellent lover for you. So we also have this other misconception that there's one person who's perfect for us, and we have to spend our whole lives finding this perfect
the one for
person.
that moment then.
No, like
Or-
there's a difference between perfection and
Yeah.
excellence. Perfection does not
It doesn't.
exist.
Right.
But there are many excellent lovers for you. The problem is you don't even have the criteria for what makes someone an excellent lover because you're looking for perfection, and that's never going to happen.
And what about the actors?
What
Yes,
about them?
the
You know,
imposters, the
right?
imposters,
You
yes.
get those who come in and
The first
you're
few
like
dates.
those first few dates. You're like, oh, this person's amazing, everything, and then you realize everything. And I'm not even talking about you thought they had a Benz and they they're walking on the Reeboks, whatever. Just the other stuff where they lied about school or anything, all kinds of different things that people lie about all of the time.
So here's the thing.
Aren't there things called deal breakers
Absolutely.
in relationships?
Well,
because
first,
they're
let him respond to the imposters.
Yeah.
So-
I want to know about what you do with the imposters.
well, that's part of a deal breaker.
So you ready? You ready for this?
yeah. Okay.
Lots of people have trust issues.
Absolutely.
But when we say we have trust issues, what we're really saying is that we don't trust ourselves to pick people who are good for us. Just because
we
don't
failed in the
know,
past, possibly. Yeah.
Exactly. We don't know how to make sure that person has the traits. That's different than saying everybody's a liar, that it's not going to work out. Like, of course, there are going to be people who aren't about the right.
Right.
But your ability to discern that, your ability to tell whether or not somebody is genuine is a skill that can be learned.
I think a lot of times people have to be honest with themselves.
Absolutely.
And I think when it comes to dating, if you are not honest with what you want and really what you desire, it begins to set you up for failure. A lot of times people will accept anything for the sake of being lonely.
It's because they don't believe they can have what they actually want. If you don't believe what you want is possible, you're not gonna cut out the people who are giving you the BS.
Right.
Because you don't believe it's possible. You believe that this is the only thing that
I
you
speak
can
love
have.
every day of my life. Every day of my life.
You and me both.
I love me. I love life. Let me say to you,
I love A, B,
I
C,
had
and
the
D
greatest
on
love in my
Sundays.
life for 20 years. He was the greatest man ever in my life. He was my greatest love. Everything, the sun, the moon, the rise, it revolved around us. We grow together. We raise together. We live together. He was everything. But unfortunately, God called him home. But I still love him and will always love him. And I will love again. But I am dating and open to the process to love again. I don't walk in saying what's wrong. I walk in claiming what's right.
Okay. Well,
But
Why are so
when
many
you
of
run
our
across
people-
what's wrong, do you just how do you handle that then? Is that more of a
Because
it's just
sometimes I
dismissed
look
and not
at
there?
sometimes people come in your life in a dating and it's an assignment. And I look at it sometimes they come
Yes.
in my life for me to show them something. Sometimes I have to be very clear. Sometimes my selfishness wants it to be relationship, and sometimes the assignment was to show them how to get free.
amen.
Or to show them what love looks like.
Yes.
Or to do something. I mean,
Or to do
people come to
something.
your life for various
Mhm.
reasons.
And sometimes I have to be very clear, but that requires stepping back, analyze it, looking at it, and growth. That's growth. That wasn't always Racine in her 20s.
You weren't always so perfect.
I wasn't.
Amari. So the level of people, the amount of people in our community that are single is astronomical to me.
Absolutely.
I mean, so many of us. I'm single. I'm included in that. Why? Why is that? I mean, are there any particular
Well,
issues
So-
with black gay men and the women in our
There are
community?
three main ones.
Okay.
Okay.
Ooh, please speak.
Yo, we
Three.
are fixing some
Let me
issues
write
today.
this down. Hold on.
Amari,
What are your three
we're
main
gonna need
ones?
30% of this business right here. I'm sorry.
So there are three main reasons why people are single.
Three of them.
One is the employee mindset. We invest all the time, money, energy into developing the skills we need to have effective careers, but we don't invest the same amount of time, money, and energy into learning the relationship skills. And so what our culture teaches us is that we're supposed to be proactive in our careers, but reactive in our relationships. Relationships are just supposed to magically appear, and we're supposed to figure them out as we go.
You're just supposed to bump into
But
them
it-
at the gym
right.
and on the bus.
And it's supposed to be magical and
Right.
just live happily ever after.
That's what the movies
But
show.
in our careers, we learn like you have to learn to fly the plane and then you go fly the plane. But in relationships, we're learning how to fly the plane as we're flying the plane, and we wonder why it crashes so
And that's
many
what
times.
you wrote about in our January, February issue.
Yeah.
You wrote about, it was why your professional career will be better than your professional relationships will be better than your.
And that's
your
why
intimate
we
relationships,
don't
right?
believe that we can do anything about our relationships. We don't believe that we have any power in relationships. And so therefore we don't take our power in relationships.
Well,
And that's why we look for other people to complete us, because there's this whole power dynamic that we've misplaced when it comes to relationships.
Okay, so what's the solution?
That's the first part.
Okay, I'm sorry. That's one. That's right.
That's the
So
first
there's,
part.
There's three of y'all. There's three of y'all.
The solution to that is it's simple. Invest in the same way that you invest in your career. Go work with a coach, work with a mentor, read
find a
books.
date? To find a
No,
date?
to learn the skills. So your job, you learn skills that prepare you for most of the jobs you're going to have before you get there. When you get to the job, you learn specific things that are unique to that position. Relationships are the same way. Everybody needs to learn how to communicate. Everybody needs to learn how to preserve their own boundaries. Like, there are lots of skills we all need in relationships, but we don't invest in learning those things before, and we're not good at it out the gate. And so the relationships are rocky because we haven't learned them. So go learn those skills. They're just skills. They're not natural abilities. They're not something that, only people in power have access to. Like,
Right.
So what are these
They-
other
you
two?
know
though?
what?
Because I'm-
Can I just
Right.
say?
Because I'm
to that,
impatient. I wonder what
there
these
are
other
so
two.
many people that are watching us that the lines are blowing up. I see. Someone said every situation is different. Someone says top reasons for being single.
Will, pretentiousness, unrealistic, and fear. Ooh.
There are so many things. I see a plethora of things coming down.
So
but
many.
I do believe every situation is different. I think sometimes people go in angry and mad and they prejudge everybody. Everybody's angry and mad. He's gonna treat me like the same person this guy treated me. I beat me, this one gonna beat me. So if you feel like everybody's gonna beat you, you walking in already set up.
You know what I call that? We've all been through bullshit, but the key is to learn to turn your bullshit into mulch. We don't take the time to learn how to turn it into mulch, and that's why we keep going through the bullshit. In order for flowers to grow, you need mulch. That BS that you went through is useful.
You know what I say? I love that. I'm going to use it. I'm going to steal it, but I'm going
Mulch,
to give you. I'm
mulch.
going to give you. I'm going to give you credit for that.
Are you gonna give him credit? Are you going to do what you do? Are you going to do what you do to your days? Get you some.
Get you some. I give credit where every credit is due.
Not all the time. But
I
I didn't
do.
say that your dad. I didn't say that.
But I always say people sometimes. I use the analogy of mustard. You continue to eat mustard on your hot dog. You buy it in different bottles. If it's Grey Poupon, or if it's Helen's,
Still mustard, huh?
It's still mustard, just different colors. But you never know what ketchup tastes like because you refuse to put it on your hot dog.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, well,
So there's
we're
two
gonna keep
more.
moving. There's two more? All right, we're
Yeah,
gonna
so
keep
that was
moving.
just the first reason. We went everywhere with that.
Okay.
But I loved it.
The
Yes.
second, I call this the defect mindset. Our society teaches us that there's something wrong with being gay, that it's a sin, that it's unnatural, that
Right.
you shouldn't be happy, that it's not something that normal people do. And if you internalize that, you believe that there's something wrong with you, so that inherently makes you believe that you're unworthy, that you're not valuable. That same mindset on both sides, whether it's with gays or with people who aren't gay, is what creates hate crimes. because there's something wrong with you. You shouldn't be like this. And that's the very reason why there are so many of us who are closeted in the first place. We're scared to even tell people that we're gay because of the defect mindset that we know other people already have.
The defect mindset.
Yeah.
Is that internalized homophobia? Is that
It's not that simple because it comes from society.
Okay,
Right?
okay.
We learn it from our families. Don't be gay. We learn it from our churches. We learn it from our schools. We learn it from our jobs. We learn it from the media, from everywhere. And of course, like now it's a lot better than it has been in the past, but it's not totally different.
Gotcha.
Right?
Gotcha.
So that's the second part. If we didn't have that, there would be no reason to not be out because social acceptance would be a norm.
Which is an issue for me. I mean, because I'm out, Racine's out, Eltrin, are you out?
Out
and I
where?
find it hard
Out where?
because people say, "Oh, you're too out there." I don't know what that means, but
Yeah, we've all experienced
I'm like,
that.
but
That's
you're
because
but
we're-
like you're in the you live in the
Because
middle.
I feel like I feel like when you are free and comfortable with who you are, sometimes that's intimidating for other people.
It is.
Because but it's also the light that draws them. They're drawn by that, your freedom and your ability to maneuver in the world comfortable just as you are. But yet, that might be their excuse to say it's just too much.
so the light's too bright.
So-
huh? Okay.
But I think
The light's
that's
too bright?
but I think that's a really big one because that's the one I was going to say because I think that everybody, for those who don't have that luxury of coming out or being open about their sexuality, you know, they don't know what it's like to start dating in high school. They're by themselves. They don't have that training ground of, oh yeah, I went to prom with a date that I actually wanted to have sex with or be with or whatever. You know, they were just like, oh yeah, I went with my friend or whatever. So I think that when you start so late, it's hard to go into it, like you said, with the training wheels off because you're just like, okay, well, I'm going in, I'm learning how to fly this plane, I'm learning how to do this relationship, and you're a late bloomer. Although many of us don't look at ourselves that way, a lot of us have been that.
So exactly what
I'm
it is.
53 and
So-
I'm very late blooming.
Yeah,
but that's another story. we got 5 minutes, so we're gonna.
Okay, so yeah, and to that point, gay or straights get training on relationships before
How do they
From
get
their parents,
before they even start going to school.
cousins.
From parents.
So
You're
we-
in kindergarten,
we-
you get asked how many girlfriends you have. You have a Valentine in first grade. In third grade, you might have a relationship that lasts a couple of days. In fifth grade, it might last a week. In sixth grade, in middle school,
Wait a minute.
people are already having sex.
So those skills can't be they're not transferable just because we're interested in same gender.
Not
But here's
when
the
your parents
thing.
are saying.
You're practicing straight relationships.
Okay.
But,
It's not
but
the
once
same.
again,
And
I
gays
learned,
don't start it
but-
until
but
like,
I
the
learned-
average age of
But
coming
I
out.
learned
it's
love.
still a relationship with another human
right.
being.
I learned
isn't
love
it?
from my mother
But everybody
and my
doesn't get
father,
that
and that's what I
practice.
learned.
Okay.
I learned the wonderful what was taught in my house was love, and what love was to me, it wasn't just between a man and a woman. It was what I was shown and what I was given, and it allowed me to come into to realize. Going into the 9th grade with a girlfriend, coming out to the 12th grade with a boyfriend, the love was not different.
Or do
It was
both.
the same, you know. So I learned that at home, but once again, everybody doesn't.
Right.
Right.
You know, so
Gotcha.
some people
Exactly.
are looking and idolizing heterosexual love and see it as dysfunction because it is dysfunctional in some people's homes. So their lives are dysfunctional. It's what you learn, like you say, from the home and what is brought, what you see, you emulate part of it.
So we gotta start wrapping this up. So tell us
want me to give you
about
the last one?
Yes,
Yeah, give us the
very
last
quickly.
one.
But then
Very
we gotta
quickly.
go to how people can reach you, get the book, all
Sure.
that.
And then
The
I want
last
to
one
know
is-
about the crown on your head.
Yes,
Very
we're gonna
good.
talk about the crown because
Very good.
he has a crown, and you notice that we don't have crowns.
Well, I carry mine.
Do you? Okay. come on, man.
So the last one is the hookup mindset. And so this mindset comes from the defect mindset. If you can't express your love in public, so you have to hide. But as humans, we all still have the innate desire to connect with other people, right? So I still need to connect, but I have to do it in private because it's not accepted. So we create secret spaces to meet other gay men. Your secret night bars, your bathhouses, those types of things.
Gotcha.
Your living room.
Your Jacked and your Grinder, which are all essentially digital closets.
Right.
They
Ooh,
allow us to
digital-
preserve.
Wow.
We got a new word, y'all. Digital closets.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like that.
I
And
like
so
that.
we all know what their space for.
And a
in
lot
the
of
closet.
people, I want you to know that hookup, everybody's online blowing that up. They saying the hookup is part of the problem, so you're speaking.
Yeah.
And I love Tanisha is saying a whole lot of wonderful things about freedom and the subject of
Tanisha
freedom.
Iman.
Yeah,
Yes,
another writer.
yes, yeah.
We love you.
So there's nothing but there's no space for anything in the closet but sex. And so a lot of our relationships start off sexual. But
that's burning up.
Are those relationships or are those just sexual
But somebody just
interactions?
But look what someone just tweeted.
What is it?
In
We use it as
reality,
a
does
surrogate.
love between men exist outside of sex?
Oh my God,
So,
that's a
because
whole
that's
nother
our
topic.
own-
We had to talk with that.
Right.
That's a whole nother
That's a
3
show.
hours show.
Because
And we're
our
about to
only
wrap up in another
spaces
minute. Yeah.
are those digital closets and those analog closets. Like, love needs way more space in order to grow and evolve. And unless you have that space outside in the community, your relationships don't have the opportunity to thrive like straight relationships do.
Got you. Okay. Well, y'all, we're gonna have to start closing this out. So Amari, tell us where can we get the book? And then you said you have clients, so you coach people individually. I know
Yep.
I'm signing up, and you also do seminars and workshops.
You need it.
I need
Workshops,
it?
seminars, matchmaking, coaching.
All right, and we can get access that through the site.
Yep. So the book is called Lasting Love at Last, and you can get it at lastingloveatlast.com.
Y'all need to get this book. This is going to solve a lot of our.
Oh, please,
of our
before we
issues.
go, please tell our viewers what the crown.
Sure. So
Thank you.
That's
Well,
an
we got-
awesome
we got
picture of the book.
30 seconds.
I am Prince Amari, the Prince of Hearts, and I'm here to help you find your king. So you can actually follow me on social media at Prince Amari. Amari with the A-M-A-R-I.
Okay, did y'all get that? There's that handsome gentleman right there.
love it.
So I see we got a couple minutes. Jacob, are we close to closing out? Oh, okay. Well, folks, thank you for joining us. Come back next week. I think our guest for next week is a representative from Big Boy Pride, which we featured in our April issue. We did a tribute to the plus size community with a fashion designer. We did Timothy Snell, the man behind Curves. There's a thick calendar out that some gentlemen out of Atlanta produced. So make sure you get your issue. And they have a representative. I think it's Warren. Lee Miller. I think Warren's going to be joining us next week. I don't know what Racine's doing behind my back, but anyway. So Rick, I want to thank you for coming. I hope you enjoyed it.
Luxuriating over there.
Watch it on YouTube if you have any questions. And you got to get this book and check out his website.
One more thing I have to say, 100% of the proceeds from this book benefit LGBT youth empowerment programs. 100% of the profits.
Wow.
Yeah.
Didn't know that. Okay. Thank you. Well, thank you. I want to thank the legendary Racine Pendarvis for joining us. L Train for holding that seat for Mr. Norwar while he traipses across Italy. And I want to thank our guest, Amari Eyes. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, folks. See you next time. All right. Peace.
Listen vision, listen vision. DC's #1 recording studio. Oh.